My name is Jim Tatten. I'm representing myself. In November 2008, I suffered a severe traumatic brain injury. I testify and appear today as a cognitively disabled adult. Under Colorado statute, I am an at-risk adult. My purpose today is to call public attention to these invisible cognitive injuries, specifically traumatic brain injuries. I can't smell, I can't taste, I can't read, I can't comprehend. I'm not in a wheelchair, my arm's not in a sling, and I don't wear a pirate's patch. Invisible injuries are very difficult to live with, whether as an individual, as a family member, or as an individual trying to re-assimilate back into the community. My ask to the board is to proceed cautiously. If adopted, these rules will have the full force and effect of law. And I think my consistent message over the past couple of weeks has been that the rules and regulations touch individuals, families, communities, businesses, and industries. I hope my message and my concern carries some weight with you, because first, I am an at-risk adult and I'm cognitively disabled. Secondly, soon after my injury, I resigned from the board of ARC of Denver. I was a board member of Advocacy Denver for about 17 years. I was the treasurer for a long, long time. And I think more importantly, for almost 3 decades, I've helped shape state legislation and regulation in over 25 states. If I have a concern with proposed regulations, I think the board ought to share my concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Tatten? Ms. Rule.
Yes, thank you for coming and testifying today. I'm curious what aspect of the rule package or the rules you're concerned about.
Mr. Tatten.
My concern is probably with regard to the due process structure under the overall umbrella of legal standards, whether those be standards concerning allegations and burdens of proof. My real concern results from the discussions I heard on the floor of the state senate earlier this week concerning allegations. I don't want the board to use these rules to fall into the same legal
Ensnarement.
PR hole that the legislature has fallen into. And that's not a statement with regard to, the weight and the evidence. I think it's the process that's failed. I saw a public stoning on the floor of the state senate. I heard stories of an individual and his family and his children being harmed as a result of these allegations. I listened to a state senator speak before the public and say, I've investigated over 1,000 crimes, murders, sexual assaults of children. The report that the Senate has before us, if my deputy had written this, he wouldn't be a deputy. That's what I'm concerned with. We have a shared goal. Everyone wants to protect individuals, families, and communities. What I don't want is for a system to be in place that falls apart as the process is moving forward, like we saw not only in the Colorado House of Representatives, but also the Colorado State Senate.
Mr. Busher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Folks, here's where I've been struggling, okay? The specific question I would ask you is where and in which ways are these rules inconsistent with the state statute? Our job is to put meat around a state statute. And I hear the concerns about due process, but I need to be specifically told that this language is inconsistent with or exceeds what the state statute contains. Our role is limited. We don't get to second guess the legislature. We only get to write the details around statutes they've already passed, and that's where I'm not making a nexus. Can you help me?
Mr. Tappen. Or Mr. Hernandez, since you're still there.
Well, I think as you're going to hear some more testimony from people who were involved with the stakeholder meetings, you will see, Representative Busher, you will see a couple of instances where the department is actually going outside of the proposed rules that have nothing to do with House Bill 1284. So we'll cite those specific examples, so that's a very good question. So I agree that if you're sticking to the statute, the charge of this board is to try to follow it as best as they can. But you also know the process as well. The board can approve this, they get approved by the Secretary of State, then there's a whole other process that it goes through, continues on through the legislature as they look to see were those rules put together correctly. So, good question. So I know that Mr. Tatten is also a practicing attorney. Correct me if I'm wrong. Not anymore, but he's still an attorney. He has a JD, and so and having worked with him for 20 some odd years, well, the entire time I was in the legislature, I found him to be very credible, very reasonable, very rational in his approach to things. So, but that's a very good question. But I know what the other thing that he's referring to is he's referring to Senator Cook. And Senator Cook, who was looking at, I don't know, somehow he got a copy of the investigative report. And one of his concerns was, well, wait a minute, the senator that was mentioned had an attorney, so therefore he's not credible.